allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Loading down my paper.
Will you do the roll call, please?
Robert Mueller,
Here.
Dina Carla,
Here.
Jan Braun, Sarah Menard, Mary Beth Ferguson,
Here.
Kelly Fowler, Laura Oliver, Michael Hankins,
Here.
Kathy Walls, Beth Caldwell. Here. We do not have a quorum.
Okay. Since we don't have a quorum, we'll kind of count this as a work session today. I know there's a lot of people traveling. There was some medical issues on one of the members, so we can't approve the agenda or approve the previous meeting minutes. But we can kind of go over a few things and get some updates. Are there any citizens to be heard today? Okay. Thanks for coming, Kathy. Then we'll just move on to Sandra's report.
Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. Does everyone have a copy of this? This, the one with the colors on it. Okay. So I'll run through the numbers really quick and then update on a couple of recent activities and upcoming activities. First of all, hold on a second, I'm looking at the one you're looking at. First of all, our June visitors were slightly up over last year. We actually had we actually had 1,970 in June. And last year we had 1,864. So we were up quite a bit.
It seems like we're up every month except for April this year in terms of the previous year, just looking at it. Or at least equal or better than last year.
Yeah, April was up as well. The blue bar is.
Oh, that's right, I'm
yeah.
sorry.
So January was about even, February was up, March was up, April was up.
Well, I'd say from last year, but from previous years it was.
Okay. May was up, June was up. And yeah, over previous years, April was a little bit lower than 2 years ago.
Question.
Mhm.
Do you attribute that to anything specific?
Well, I can tell you what people tell us when they come into the Welcome Center. I think that the advertising that we've selected, I think the billboards are playing a strong role in this. We constantly have people tell us that they've seen, if they're from St. Louis, a lot of times they've seen the commercial. We have people who come in with the AAA book in their hand or with the St. Louis Visitors Guide, which shows us in their day trip section as being only an hour from St. Louis, and we paid a little extra to get a photo put with our listing, so your eye kind of is drawn right to that photo. We've had people come in who say, I came here because of this, and they're just excited about the photo, So I would say, a good part of it is definitely the advertising is working, the message is getting out there. And, our social media continues to grow, and I think that that's a strong factor as well. I do think that we're still in a challenged economy. I think that people are taking shorter trips still, and they're still being very conservative with the amount of money that they spend. But at least they are getting out and coming, and many of them are either repeat visitors or they're coming here and extending their stay for longer than they originally had planned. So we're happy to see all of that. Certainly very pleased with that. Do you have any other observations that you would
No, I
share?
have the same observations you have on that. I just want to see if we coincide with each other.
I'm especially pleased when I hear people say that they saw the billboards on the interstate, and sometimes they're making trips. You know, they might go to Memphis one weekend and they'll see that billboard, and then they might come back a week or a month later and say, you know, we were on our way to Memphis, we saw that billboard, we decided to come here because we haven't been here in years. They sort of almost forgot about us, you know, and they're like, oh, I remember coming here. Sometimes it's 20 years ago, you know, and they want to come back, and so we're always pleased to tell them about all the recent developments and everything that has changed. So, yeah, so that's all very positive, I think. And if we can just continue to engage people and continue to be, you know, their getaway of choice, educating them about all the different things there are to do here as a destination, I think that's important for repeat business. And repeat business and bringing their friends back is going to be you know, one of the strongest things that we can do. So then you have group visitors. You can see that in June we had a slight increase in group visitors, and of course this includes student and adult. So on your next page you have the breakdown of June adult visitors versus June student visitors. And of course in the summer we don't have many student visitors. Next month we probably won't even show this chart, but since there was some activity in June, we included that information. The passport sales, let's see, the passport sales in, I'm seeing May there,
Yeah,
and I'm
not
not
June.
seeing June. And not June on this one. I know that our passport sales was slightly up in the month of June. I'm going to skip over that and come back to it, but our tourism-related tax revenue, this first chart at the bottom of page 3 in your booklet, that one shows the downtown restaurants sampled, and so in June, you can see we were slightly over June of last year, not quite as strong as 4 years ago, but a little better than last year. We hope that July will continue to see an increase in that. And the next one is the downtown sampling of the shops. You can see that June was up quite a bit over June of 2013 in terms of downtown sales in our shops and merchants. This does seem to be that, you know, we've had many activities, many smaller events going on in the last few months that I think has helped with that. I would say that that it does seem to be pockets of activity. Some of the shops are definitely experiencing stronger volume than others. I think that you know, that there could be some beneficial things. You know, something as simple as a shop when they completely re-merchandise their space so that it freshens it up. You'd be surprised how much that changes their experience, and I've noticed some of them, you know, trying to be more proactive with that, and I think it certainly has shown a benefit for them. But I do think we have pockets of activity, and I think that some of the things that we're talking about in terms of directional signage could really help with that, because a lot of times people, you know, will be walking around, they might hit Merchant Street and Main Street, they might not hit 3rd or Market as much, and I think if we have these directional signs, it could help a lot, because even with a map in their hands, you know, if they see this sign that has, you know, 5, 10, 15 things pointing in one direction, it's going to naturally draw them in that direction, because a lot of people do choose to park their car and walk, which of course is what we want for them to do. So I would say that if we can continue in that direction, it'll be a positive thing.
I wonder how many of them have Facebook pages or social media pages.
Well, I can tell you that the ones that are active on social media are doing better than the ones who are not active. And they may have a page, but they're not really pushing it, not reaching out and engaging people. People, as you know, you're all in the business here, you know that people come here for an experience, and sharing that experience, getting to know the people who are here, sharing their travels, and happy moments with their friends is really important. And so I think that we're seeing that social media as a form of communication also impacting the bottom line in terms of revenues. And I know Dina's going to talk a little bit later in the agenda about social media, so I won't steal any of her thunder. But I do think that the more that we can do in the realm of social media and encouraging all of our attractions and venues to be more active with social media, I think is a plus.
Can I just add something?
Yes.
We attended the workshop last year over at the school that told how to set up a business Facebook page, and we kind of fiddled around with it a little bit, but we never actually launched it. So after our vacation this year, we decided to come back and hit that heavy, so Mike worked all last Saturday and launched it. By yesterday, we had 104 likes. From Saturday afternoon to yesterday morning, we had 104 likes
That's
already.
incredible.
In just those few days. And most of the people, I mean, some of them obviously are our friends and relatives, but the majority of them are people that we don't even recognize their names. We don't know if they've been guests, if they're just friends of somebody else. So, and then along with that, they keep giving graphs showing us how many people have liked it, how many people have received it, all that. So we're getting constant updates on all of that. And to me, it's just amazing that in that few short days, we could have that much of a response already. So,
And it's free.
yes, yes, that's the best part.
And the thing is,
You
that
say that tongue in cheek.
the time,
It's,
yeah. I know it takes a lot of
it
time, but
it gets,
congratulations.
it gets easier as you
It does
use it
get
more.
easier.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable. I connected up with that to some people from high school. Actually, and I hadn't, it's been well over 50 years, 55, 56
That's not
years.
possible. You told me you were 45.
No, I think I said I was 36.
Well, and you know, there's the multiplier effect too. Those
Yes.
100 and those college friends and our high school friends, whatever, they're going to like it because they remember Mike Hankins from back in the day. And isn't that cool? They might not even have known that you were, you know, if they haven't seen you in 30 years, they might not even have realized that
Well,
you were
and
doing
of
it.
course, I have my own Facebook, so a lot of them are going on to that too.
Right.
So they're going to
Well,
that.
And the sharing that you can do can really, just to make it explode. I mean, and I know you've taken other people's postings from here and then share them, and then they get shared, and that's the way you really
But
expand it.
it just so happened, I told Sandra this, that there was a Riviera parked in front of the house. A black and white, I think it's like a 68 or something. Black and white Buick Riviera, so I took a picture of it, and because tomorrow is the cruise. And so I put that out there, and I had like, I don't know, half a dozen people or more, maybe a dozen,
Liked it.
that liked it. And so they may come down for the cruise, for the McDonald's car cruise.
And see, that's the thing, people who have an affinity for, you know, for vintage cars, or for birding, or for French colonial history, whatever
Yeah.
their affinity is,
Yeah.
their friends probably share that affinity, and so, you know, you may suddenly see, you know, sort of a blossoming effect of people who like vintage cars
Yeah.
coming to the Southern Hotel. It could be just as simple as that.
Well, you know, I was hoping that we would get people to come to the town, even if it's just to that day, to spend money and drive around town and see the old-time cars. And when I say old-time, some of them go back really into the 30s. But we have a lot of them around here from, I'm going to say from 52 to probably 74, which is, at 20 years or older is considered an antique.
I think if we all do a lot more sharing, it's like when you post an event and things of that site, then it just
Yes,
multiplies.
please, when you're on your personal Facebook pages, please just touch Visit St. John and take anything, you know, that you can share with your audiences, your friends. And
Sure.
again, that multiplier effect is really important. So yes, I would say that we're moving in the right direction. I think that we could do a lot more of that. I think that, you know, like you said, just finding the time to do it and to get over that first hump. Maintenance still takes time, but not as bad as the first launch, so
Well, the other thing is, having a business account, you can schedule those.
Right.
So you can do it on Sundays and then say, okay, I want this to go out on Friday. Personal accounts, you can't do that on.
So that on Friday, you don't have to take the time because you're busy with guests checking in and everything. Okay, so I said I would come back to the passport data, and I just wanted to touch on that briefly. In June, we sold 226 adult passports, which was fairly consistent with last year, and we had 34 student passports. Last year was 9. So of that 34, 20 of these were with a group of students that came in June of this year from Jackson. So we're continuing to reach out to groups. In particular, we noticed a trend in active seniors who sign up for tours, you know, like they had been doing tours to like the Herman Wine Country or to Kimmswick and so on. And so we had a couple of them that were coming here to St. Genevieve with a group of active seniors. And so Megan and I did a little project a couple of weeks ago to go out and specifically search for senior activity groups that you know, where you can sign up for anything to get on a bus and go someplace and take an experience. So we put together a cover letter and a packet and sent it out to, I think it was 81 different senior activity programs within about an hour-and-a-half drive in any direction, some over in Illinois, St. Louis, Cape Girardeau, Jackson. So, you know, if nothing else, they'll have us in their little folder of places that we can go and get to easily, and, you know, told them about all the amenities that are available if they wanted to do a step-on guide or a walking tour or something like that. So you never know what might turn up of that, but I thought it was worth a shot, just having observed that maybe we can kind of, you know, beat somebody else to the punch and get our information in their hands first. I'm continuing to send out information to bank travel planners and other group travel planners. We've contacted all of the groups that had scheduled tours here in St. Genevieve in previous years in the summer, in the months of June, July, and August, and sent specific communications to them, just reminding them about St. Genevieve and all the wonderful things there are to see and do here. And we'll do that again for the teachers groups in the fall. We did this last year. So now we're developing these databases of names and addresses and emails when we have them, so that we can you know, do this. It's always, again, it's harder the first time, but then we'll have this information. It'll be easier to do it in the future. So
There's a 50-plus website that I dealt with.
yes, I remember. Yes.
Yeah, because he does stuff in St. Louis, which is, we might be able to just put him on.
I'm sure he's on our list. And there's a group from Scott Air Force Base that's very active. Another thing, and I just forwarded this message earlier this week to Bob and to Martin and to Mayor Grumminger, we get requests all the time from high-end RV travelers. Sometimes they're in groups and they do these rallies with their RVs where they'll pick a location and go, and they, whether it's individual RV owners or these rally groups, this is another, as we've seen, of course, a big trend in travel. And right now, the only place that we have to send a group of size is to Hahn State Park. So already they're, you know, in an RV speed, you're 30 minutes away. So we're sending them 30 minutes away and hoping that they come back and eat and shop and, you know, and go to the wineries and so on. But it would really be beneficial if we could kind of dust off the notion of trying to find a place in the downtown area to accommodate these RV travelers, because it would just mean, you know, when it comes to tourism, feet on the street. We need more feet on the street. So anyway, so if you ever hear of interest in RVs, that's something that I think that we can maybe try to move ahead on
Maybe
that.
develop a strategy. How do we get that put together?
I know at one time there was a specific discussion about maybe looking at some of the flood buyout properties on North Main, ahead, you know, north of the North Gabourey bridge. And so, you know, like you said, we need a strategy and maybe a committee to look at that and begin to,
There is
knock
money
down
also set
barriers.
it was identified in the TIF project also for an RV park,
Mhm.
so.
Okay, so speaking of feet on the street, we, during the months of June, and so far in July, have been doing various activities on Saturday as part of the Saturdays in St. John program. I'm sure down at Station 2, you all have seen a number of our demonstrators and musicians. We kind of try to have a little mix. So far, I was able to tap into, University of Missouri has a folk arts program, and they had a grant, so I was able to get a lot of these people to come here at no cost to us because they had a grant that would cover some of those charges, and the musicians as well. That grant has ended, and I had put a grant request out to the Muni Band to see if maybe we could get some funds for the performance of live music, and still going to try to pursue that as an avenue. But if anyone would like to help with grant development, specifically I'm thinking maybe the Missouri Arts Council, I know they have several grant programs. I'd be interested. I'm interested in hearing from members of the community who might be interested in that too. Because I think the more activities that we can have on an ongoing basis, it's just a plus so that people can have these experiences while they're here that are unique to this place and that are memorable. So it kind of takes me back to one of Mike's comments early on about when you come here and you don't see certain things, it's sort of, a disappointment because you think, oh, this place has things going on that are French colonial, so we need to get, more of these things going on. So I'm continuing to work on that. If you have ideas or suggestions or would like to become involved with any of those grant development programs, please let me know.
How about a little newspaper article about our, again, about colonial costume people, but also musicians and craft people, if they would, in the
They would like to
community.
volunteer and
Yeah.
take a Saturday?
Yeah, just a thought.
We can work on that one. Okay, so I also wanted to point out some of our recent activities. I've been meeting with the Jour de Fête committee. They are, down to the wire and finalizing all of the arrangements and plans for Jour de Fête. There are a couple of new things this year with Jour de Fête. There will be 2 additional venues that will have a beer venue, a beer garden. One is by the Senator Lynn House that always used to have one. I think maybe for 2 years now they haven't had one there.
It used to be JC's, I think.
Right, and it is a JC's, but just a different group of
It's
JC's,
South.
yeah. So that will be reestablished this year. And also on the north end of Main Street, the St. Genevieve Downtown Renewal Program has put in an application to have a beer stand and live music there. So the Jour de Fête committee has been very helpful and supportive of that. And as long as all of our applications go through for that, that'll happen. And they're planning on featuring locally produced microbrews there, so that'll be good. Just something different. I think the Lions Club and the JC's probably will be Budweiser or other Anheuser-Busch products, which have always been the traditional. And so for something a little bit different so that not everybody's doing the same thing. And I've spoken with Crown Valley, and they're very interested in providing the product for that downtown renewal project up there. So you'll hear more about that. In addition, we have been trying to increase the number of vendors at Jour de Fête and reaching out, both myself through tourism and also Downtown Renewal has been going to other craft events, and they call them junk-teeking events, and inviting people there to consider coming to the Jour de Fête. So this could be something good that
I thought they were talking about a Labor Day junk tea.
well, it was moved to Jour de Fête just because it was too close and would have
Okay.
taken too much.
So they're gonna have it at Jour de Fête this year?
Right.
Okay.
That's what it will be in the area of North Main. And so it's sort of like a cluster
Mhm.
of booths that are like taking vintage items and reclaiming them, repurposing them into something new and trendy, shabby chic kind of a thing. The term for that is juntique.
Yep.
So we just had the Moonlight Madness last night. I was out until 9 o'clock last night, and there were still people on the streets and in the shops. I was really pleasantly surprised to see that, and most of the merchants that I spoke with were pleased. And of course, we had the Muni Band last night, so it's a busy night in St. Genevieve. I know that the summer music series has been going well.
It's going well, yes. It's
One
almost
night left,
over.
2 nights left?
3, well, because
Oh,
this
two
tonight,
performers,
and then we
yeah.
have Elvis next weekend, Friday, Saturday, so.
Should be a good concert tonight. Denise Times is a great performer.
It's Kim Massey.
Or Kim Massey, I'm sorry. But she works
She
the
is.
crowd really well.
rocks the house.
She's
Yeah.
wonderful. It's been a great season. We've sold out 3 shows so far. We're very close to selling out tonight. The Friday night of Elvis looks to be a sellout as well, so not too bad. I'm pretty excited. We usually sell 1 to 2 shows out, but to have, more than that's always pleasant. So if you didn't get to hear the dueling pianos last weekend, they were amazing. They stayed 40 minutes later. It was almost 11 o'clock before they stopped. It was just, we had such a great group of people there. It was really nice to see a lot of younger faces too. So kind of drawing them in. And then Bob Cuban actually surprised me. Really, I mean, he was phenomenal. And we had a really good house for that too.
Yeah, it was
so.
fun.
And I know that Dick and Susie over at Sears, they've just had to have wonderful nights because, I mean, these people have just been ordering, their bar and their food have just been outstanding. So that's good too. Yeah.
We'll see a bump in that tax revenue. So I just want to touch on one more thing, and that was advertising. I have been sending information out to the merchants and the bed and breakfast owners and the wineries, inviting them to participate when we're doing ads in like Feast magazine. In addition, we're going to be in one of the Go magazines, which used to be the Get Out section of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. And so at least once in August and possibly additional Go magazines in the next few months, we're going to have a St. Genevieve section and various ads underneath that. So very pleased with the response that we've had. I think in the August issue of Feast magazine, we'll have a whole page dedicated to St. Genevieve, and of course that's great with Jour de Fête and everything else going on. And it just raises awareness about St. Genevieve as we go into the fall travel time. In addition to that, I think I reported at the last meeting that we had been made aware of an opportunity through the St. Louis Convention and Visitors Commission, which we are a member of because we're within driving distance as an attraction. And in Spirit magazines, this is the in-flight magazine for Southwest Airlines. They did a special section about St. Louis as one of the places that you can travel to on Southwest Airlines. So there were, I think, 10 pages of coverage about St. Louis, and then we had an opportunity to get in on placing an ad in this section to encourage people to do a day trip to St. Genevieve. And in addition to that, they gave us, we're actually donating to them some items for their prize, but it's enter a chance to win a St. Louis vacation package, which includes 2 round-trip tickets on Southwest Airlines, An adventure in historic St. Genevieve, step back in time to discover one of Missouri's oldest towns and explore its French colonial past, including, now I sent them lots of pictures to choose from, and they chose a beautiful picture of the Bolduc, including the Bolduc House National Historic Landmark. So this is what it looks like, and I'll pass this around, but this is our ad that we ran in the Brand USA programming that we did, and so we repeated this. So it has our keywords, which is what we're going with now, rather than text information in a paragraph. So I'll pass that around. Some of you may have already seen this, but have to thank Jim Ferguson for being the first one to actually bring us back a magazine from a Southwest Airlines flight. And I've had various people from St. Genevieve as they're traveling, because a lot of people use Southwest Airlines. Elaine Hoffmeister just sent me a message. She's at a wedding in Rhode Island, and she was on Southwest Airlines. And so she saw the ad. She said, I saw St. Genevieve on my airplane. So we're really pleased about that, and we got an incredible rate for that kind of advertising. We got it at a fraction of the cost that it would have been if we had tried to approach Southwest Airline about a quarter-page ad, since we were part of that St. Louis Convention and Visitors Commission section. So we're really pleased with that, and that's the kind of thing that a lot of people will see it that wouldn't normally have access to some of our information about St. Genevieve. So excited about that.
National advertising, really.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it's funny because after that came out, I started getting emails from United Airlines. It's like, we'd like to feature St. Genevieve. I'm like, I'll bet you would.
Tell them, if you can do it for what we paid for this, sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So watch for some of our advertising coming up. In addition, I'm working with the local radio station about, they're doing some ads for Jour de Fête, and then I'm also working with them about some sponsorship ads coming up in the next few months, just to raise awareness. They're, on their FM station, their reach has increased since they changed their format, and now they're reaching up as far as St. Louis, and I think down as far as Jackson, certainly Farmington.
And also across southern Illinois, I think they can reach quite a bit now.
Which station is that?
KBDC
Yeah,
and
no.
KSGM, I guess, too. So I have a little bit more later under print, but I'll stop for now.
Okay. Any other questions of Sandra at this point? Not a little bit on old business tourism signage. I think we've talked in the past about this directional signage for businesses and historic attractions and stuff. We now have a list of sites and what we would put on each one, and we have to get our committee back together to figure out what these signs are going to look like and move forward on that, how we're going to pay for it. So that'll be coming up. Anything new on social media training, Dina?
Well, we're still trying to find someone to host it for us. The gentleman that we were going to use from Poplar Bluff, his position at his job has changed, so he's not as available as what he used to be. So we've kind of reached out to a couple of other entities, Socially Acceptable and Local Tech. Right now is just trying to figure out a fee, because their fee is a little bit more than what we wanted to spend to offer a free seminar. We kind of budgeted a certain amount for chamber for every quarter, and it far exceeded that amount, so we're trying to negotiate a price.
Did you find a site to do it at the school?
We could do it at the school.
Okay.
But we're just, so now I threw out some other dates for the end of August and then also September. So I don't know. I can't say I have a date because I don't have a date, and I don't have a presenter, but I have the location. So we're actively working on that. We're back and forth with some negotiations. The good part is we have our November one scheduled. We have our presenter. It's going to be on taxes and preparing end of the year kind of stuff for our businesses, and we are working with the local CPA for that, so we will be sharing that information here shortly. once we have a location and a date. So it's
I
just
might
not.
have another idea for you on the social media. I thought of another one that, when we were working with Craig, that
Mhm.
I went with Craig instead of this one, but, so this might be one to
Okay.
look at again.
Yeah. And I don't know Craig, it was a reference from Sandra, but Local Tech is from Farmington. They done several seminars for local chambers, so they came highly recommended as well. We can't narrow down, we can't negotiate a good price, so we're still working.
Okay. One other thing I wanted to add on here is we got another update from the National Park Site Study people. Since they reported to us in May, they were ready to edit and go to print for the report. They had an inquiry from a resource advocate that took time, and it had something to do with the Old Town site. The study team had to investigate and settle that discussion. They quit doing editing and formatting of the document during that time. It has been resolved. The document was revised and has been resubmitted for editing. And she said, we now anticipate that the document will be in Washington for clearance to print by early August and available to the public by November. So it's moved back a little bit. They were talking about fall. So that's where we're at on that one. Since we don't have a quorum, or is there any other old business that we need to talk about? If not, new business, we can put off election of chairperson and vice chairperson until the next meeting. We have to have a quorum to do that, and we continue to serve until replaced. Upcoming events for August.
Does anybody have anything to add?
We got it, there's a list in the packet. Thanks for continuing to do that, getting it out.
Can I ask a question? How are the open air markets going? Does anyone know how? I went to like 2 of them, and they've had a couple of vendors, but not a whole lot.
Right, I think they started out really strong, and everyone's enthusiasm was very high. And I know that there were a couple of weekends when they either didn't have it either day or didn't have it on Sunday, like on, Father's Day, I think, or 4th of July, or that kind of thing. But I do know that the committee that manages that is getting together to kind of regroup, do some additional recruiting of additional vendors to be there, and kind of refine that as they move forward.
Okay.
So I think they would welcome anyone to participate. I think the ones who have participated have done well, but it's hard for most people to make a commitment to be there, every Saturday or Sunday. And that was
Sure.
part of the beauty of it, that the people didn't have to make a commitment. They could just be there a Saturday or a Sunday or both, and so it was started out really strong, and I think then it kind of hit a little lull, and now they're ready to kind of redesign it.
I would hope that they continue to have discussions with the farmers market too about next year and future years. I think together they're could be a lot better than individually. So. One of the things that was decided about a year ago is that, remember, we would have evening meetings quarterly, and then we decided to just have it once a year. And so in August, we would traditionally have our annual evening meeting, and to report on kind of all the data it'll be in for everything by that time. And I'm proposing August 19th, 7 p.m. It's the third Friday is the 15th or
So
something.
the 15th, so it's the Tuesday after our
Right.
third Friday.
Yeah, right. If That's
Here?
here
At what time?
at 7 PM.
In
Pardon?
this building here?
Yes, and we'll do some advertising in on the radio and the television and, yeah. Is there anything anybody else wants to report on at this point? Would say, I was really pleased with our initial 4th of July thing at noon. It was a lot of fun. It was short.
It's a lot of fun.
And I want to get the group together and talk about next year, because we've got a lot of comments about we need to do that again next year. And we can try some new things. If you weren't there, you missed some wonderful singing by Nicole Bennett. It was,
Yeah, she did
when she sang the
amazing.
Star Spangled Banner, I told Linda, it said it gave me goosebumps. She said, me too. She really did a nice job.
Stormy did a good job too.
Yeah.
He made the medley.
Yeah.
I was pleasantly pleased with the amount of people there for as short notice as what we kind of announced it. So I think next year with a lot more notice, we could have a really good crowd. I thought we had a pretty good crowd anyway, but.
Yeah.
Well, we ended up with, I think, 3 rooms that night, and I believe 2 of the rooms went down for the fireworks. And they're from larger cities and had gotten away from their town to go somewhere smaller and quieter. They came back just raving about the fireworks display. They were totally amazed that a town this size had the turnout that they did, and then the quality of the fireworks display. They repeated it over and over again. They just were amazed. So I mean, that says a lot. Whoever gets passed on to, that says a lot.
I know you do a lot of work on that, Dina.
Yeah.
I mean, really, they just could not stop talking about it the whole time I'm serving them breakfast. It's like,
Oh, we sat on the hill right behind the dugout, and I mean, we just laid there and watched them. You can't get
Yeah.
any closer than that. I mean, there
No.
was stuff falling left and right, because there was no wind, so it was just kind of coming straight down.
Yeah.
But it was just, it's so cool, because they're right there, you're so close.
We moved to the South Field this year, mainly because last year, there's always a big baseball tournament after the day after 4th of July. And so we don't want to rut up the fields or anything like that. So we moved off of North Yanks for that reason last year, and it worked out perfectly. So this year we decided to stay on the South Field, and it really does. I mean, I was standing in the parking lot, and I had a couple people say, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe all this stuff's falling." But, you know, that's the price you pay if you want to be that close. And honestly, I stood there right next to them, and I didn't get hardly anything on me.
Oh, we
And I
didn't have a
was-
problem with it, we were laughing
Oh,
at it.
yeah,
We were just,
sure,
you know.
sure.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I had a lot of compliments for it, and we were voted in 2010 or 11, I can't remember exactly, the best fireworks show in Southeast Missouri. So it is a lot of work. I sit there at a computer and I literally go through every and I select it. And I go to I'm not even joking. So it is kind of fun in that aspect to see, you know, how they, you know, it comes on a little DVD and you just select what you want.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's fun. I
How'd you
enjoy
do
doing it.
financially? Did you have enough money?
We did, you know, that fundraising for 4th of July is always tough. Many people think it is a city and a county line item budget, and it's not. It's solely done by the chamber and their members and the community. If it wasn't for them, we couldn't do it. So we made just a little bit more than what we needed, and so it'll just go back into the kitty for next year. So, but yeah.
Well, thanks for doing all that hard work on that, because it
But
it is
it's
pretty
paid off,
spectacular.
because these people were just blown
Yeah.
away by the fireworks.
I really wish we can get Muni Band back down
That would be
down
cool.
there. That would just make it all even much better. Luckily for us, we were, Eric and Nicole brought up their sound system and played the national anthem before the first firework. People want to hear that,
Yeah.
and if they couldn't come down earlier that day at noon to hear it being sung, they want to hear it before fireworks go off. It's just tradition.
Yeah.
And last year when it didn't happen, we had a lot of angry people. And so this year we made sure that we had something in place for the
the music to be played. Nicole didn't sing it, it was recorded, but she, they played it, and it just, I thought you could hear it pretty well from the hillside that I was standing on.
We were sitting up by where the pool was, and we could hear it fine.
Yeah, and that's what I love, that hillside, you just look and all you see is people, and it's such a great feeling,
Oh, they
so.
were amazed by how much of a
Yeah.
turnout there was.
Yeah.
They said, well, we figured people from the small town will be going up to St. Louis to see all the huge fireworks. They were like, why would you do that and get all that message traffic and all that?
I have a lot of communities, a lot of people from Farmington actually come over and visit and watch our fireworks show, because we host it on the 4th of July, and most people don't do 4th of July. They always do the Saturday before or the Saturday after. They don't actually shoot on the 4th of July, so.
They're not real fireworks then.
Yeah, that's right. So, and we always do, rain or shine, it doesn't matter. I mean, well, if it's raining, of course, we postpone it, but, the show was about 2 minutes faster than it should have been. But our contract with them is between 20 and 25-minute show. We were at 21 minutes, I couldn't really complain. I usually like to get a 24-minute show, but one of the wicks wasn't all the way down into the chute. And so when it lit, it automatically lit the next one and then the next one. And so we had like 5 of them. If you didn't see it, and if you wouldn't have known, you probably wouldn't have known. But when I seen like 3 of them like go, and I was like, oh, shoot. Yeah, so, but really, other than that, it worked out really well. So,
So,
yeah, good evening.
that's something maybe we can advertise locally next year. I mean, not just in St. Genevieve, but Chester, Perryville, Farmington.
Yeah.
Facebook,
Who picked
I
you for
mean-
the best?
Huh?
Who picked you for the best in Southeast Missouri?
It was in the rural Missouri, and
Rural
we were,
Missouri,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. But I have this family, they've been coming to St. Genevieve on the 4th of July for the last 8 years. They're from Farmington. And they started out with just like their family of 5, and now it's like their family of 20. So they've brought, it's like their parents and then their grandkids and now they're all
That's what
coming
we
from
get, the
us,
daytime thing.
Leaving
from
their
there.
town and coming
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Well,
So
that
that's
says
kind
a
of
lot.
nice.
Yeah, it says a lot
And they
right there.
always seek me out every 4th of July. They always come find me and say, another good show, so they're really nice people.
There's Auntie Dina.
Yeah, exactly.
We just gotta figure out how we get them here earlier in the day, do a little
Right.
shopping and eating and.
Mhm. Yeah, that's true.
Well, maybe we knew the ceremony.
Yeah, maybe something in the afternoon or something.
Well, and I will tell you that it would help if we could have someone like the Eagles or something doing barbecue or something like that up at the
The
park.
Lions Club. You bet.
Yeah,
Have it
because
all
when we
night
did
long.
that a couple years ago, it was actually a freedom celebration all day, I mean, the people were just, and we had to cut way back on that because the funds just weren't there. And it was a completely free day, everything, the kids' rides were free, the only thing you purchased was your beverages and your food. And, but we had tons of people in the park all day long. They set up at the pavilions at like 9 a.m. to make sure that they had their spot set for the day. So bringing back some food and drink would be an added plus.
Well, and on the 4th of July, we called around to all the shops and merchants, the wineries, everything, and made a list of who was going to be open. And there were only 2 restaurants,
Right.
Ciro's and the Sandbar, the only ones open on the 4th of July. So on the one hand, if we advertise it, it needs to be something that brings in money. And so if we're bringing them here to St. Genevieve and the restaurants aren't open, now, it's not like we can tell everybody, hey, you've got to be open because we're bringing people. So
Right.
maybe it doesn't hurt to, to have the food and beverage up at the park, because there's only so many people could fit in Ciro's and the
Right.
Sandbar.
Well, I think part of it is talking about that much earlier. You're gonna be open and
Yeah.
I think we're learning about.
Well, I guess Audubon's will be open by then.
It better be.
We were actually pretty surprised, because we had, like I said, guests. There was nowhere for them to go to eat, and choices in 2 places, which kind of was surprising to us. I could see being open during the day and then like closing early so you can take part in the fireworks display, but I was just so, they're missing the chance to make money when there are guests that came here from out of town. I was just like, kind of shocked us, really did.
A lot of people take advantage of that as a family
Family
holiday
day,
too,
right.
so it's, but yeah, it's kind of, you know, a mixed bag.
So I forgot to, at the beginning of the meeting, to welcome Mary Beth Ferguson as a new member of our Tourism Advisory Committee.
Thank you.
Next year, the 4th's on a Saturday.
Yeah.
I would think that some of the restaurants would want to stay open.
Well, you would have thought they were open on a Friday.
I mean, that's, you know,
Well, I think, again, we'll start working on it a little bit earlier. Figure out if there's any other things we can do that afternoon to keep people in town from the
No.
noon to the,
Yeah, I officially appointed you
You-
to that committee, Bob.
we didn't
Just so
publicize
you know.
the event that was at the courthouse, or actually at the chamber hall.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, I
It
mean,
was, it was, yeah, it was
but it
last
wasn't,
minute notice.
it wasn't put out
yes.
as far
Right.
wide as it could. And
Or
then we
in
sat on
advance.
our porch, on our front porch, and watched the whole thing. You know,
Yeah, we could hear everything, we could see it all.
yeah, we could see everything that was going on, we could hear it all, believe it or not, right from our front porch.
I have a great picture of the Southern Hotel actually with the American flag hanging or
Oh,
flying.
not now, it just got ripped in that
No,
storm.
that was on that day, 4th
Yeah.
of July. I took a really great picture of it. It was
Ooh.
awesome.
I'm still celebrating Bastille. It's over this weekend. I'm still waiting. Bastille. I got the French little flags out. I took my flags down in front on the balcony, but I didn't want to go up where the wasps were to take that one down, and you know, well, we got 3.5 inches of rain in my house. And I thought when I went out the next day, all those little flags would be gone. Not one of them, but the big flag got torn right in half. And today I got a new one I'm going to put up.
I like I also got a picture of the motorcycles,
Yeah.
and they had an American flag on the back of their motorcycle. So when they took off, it was just like, it was awesome. It was a good
Wow.
picture. So,
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. I forgot to also welcome Sarah Menard, is going to be joining us on the Tourism Advisory Committee. She's away from town today, so she filled a couple of the slots with Beth going off as a member of the public and coming on as Board of Alderpersons. And Mary Beth replaced her, and we had one other opening with
Laura.
Steph Greminger.
Oh, that's right.
And Sarah has agreed to come on, and I think that's been approved by the board, so, good. Next big event coming up, Jour de Fête. Let's hope we have weather like today, wouldn't that be wonderful?
Oh, yeah.
It was
No,
nice
that's out
last
the
year,
window
though.
next week.
Yeah. It was pretty nice last year.
Yeah,
It was unseasonably cool for a June fete last year.
I guess the city's gonna be sealing streets downtown area next week, so they'll be looking nice for.
Monday, they will be working on Main, 2nd and 3rd between Market and Merchants. And then Tuesday, they will be working on 4th Street from where State Maintenance to Market Street.
I thought that was Monday. And then I thought Main and Merchant were Tuesday.
I think Merchant,
think so.
from 4th to Main on Merchant Markets on Tuesday, I think.
Tuesday.
Yeah, but then Main, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th were listed on Monday.
On Monday.
Yeah.
On Monday, okay.
Yeah.
I just had a couple more things.
Okay.
Speaking of streets and such, I met with the area director for Department of Transportation last week and asked him formally to consider mowing 32 and 61 on the way into St. Genevieve prior to Jour de Fête this year, because I think they have it on a cycle, and I think last year maybe it was done after Jour de Fête, and he emailed me back after we met saying that they would do that. And I asked him to update a couple of other things like signs and things, because most GPSs have you get off at the exit 154, which is the O Road exit, and then that sign right there where you get off at O Road and you're turning right to go to St. Genevieve, it really needs to be replaced. And
It
he
does.
said it's on the list for replacement. He doesn't know how long it'll take, but I'm glad about that. So now we have, we're opening that dialogue, and, it's on his radar that we care how things look, and, and that we want to communicate with him. Secondly, I wanted to point out, I mentioned this before the meeting, but the iBrochure is now up, so if you have a smartphone, when you go to www.visitstgen.com, you will be automatically redirected to our iBrochure.
Yes. Looks great.
So we're really excited about that. And in addition, I wanted to say that this is an idea that came out of one of the meetings with the downtown merchants and the downtown renewal project. But the list of events that Beth does for us, one of the merchants has started taking these and inserting it into the St. Genevieve brochures and having these kind of stacked in their place of business. And so we were talking about Jour de Fête because I have people go around and hand things out at Jour de Fête, and we talked about doing upcoming events and festivals, everything from now to the end of the year, and then this can be put into the brochure and it'll kind of stick out a little bit. So I'm working on this right now. This will be our next print project, but we'll have these done so that at Jour de Fête, when we hand out brochures, these will be available. So these will be available at the Welcome Center if anyone wants to have these, you know, if you're mailing out packages to guests and you want to, you know, have that available. We're going to be doing that. Also, yeah, sure, if you want to pass that around. Last year, we did a project. Back in the day, at Jour de Fête, there used to be fans handed out as like a hospitality amenity for people. So last year, I revised or resurrected that practice, and we handed out these Welcome to St. Genevieve, like us on Facebook. We were trying to build up the social media traffic. So we're going to do this again, and this year, at Bob's suggestion, we're accepting sponsors for the back of the fans. And so I sent information out several weeks ago to ask businesses if they wanted to have a spot on the back of the fan and help sponsor this program. And so those will be going to print very quickly, and we're doing more this year because last year, I'm telling you what, people were on these like ducks on a bug. I actually had to have the people who were giving them out, they had them in baskets, and when they would walk out of the Welcome Center, people would just descend upon them. You know? So I had them start taking a tea towel and lay it over and go at least 1 block away so that we'd have the fans kind of out in the, you know, in the streets further away. And I think I found one fan in the streets that had been discarded. Everybody took it home with them, so they've got our website, they've got, you know, our social media information, they've got the St. Genevieve logo at home, and, you know. So we're doing it again this year. We're going to expand the program, and we've had several sponsors step forward who are, you know, interested in getting involved with it. So I'm really excited about that. I think it's a nice gesture that we can do, you know, improving people's experience at the Jour de Fête. Whether it's unseasonably cool or typically over 100, it'll be nice to have a little fan, so.
Do we want to talk about the AT&T thing?
Oh, sure.
Go ahead.
Okay, so.
Do we want to?
Everyone on this group is invited. If you would like to join us, please RSVP back to Dina at the chamber office. A week from today, the regional president from AT&T, Mr. Sondag, as well as Craig Felzine, is going to be here for a luncheon. We're going to host it at the community center. Get there about 11:45, and lunch will go from 12 to 1. It's a bit of outreach on AT&T's part. They're sponsoring the luncheon, and so we're excited about that, and they're going to announce a small donation to the community to help us with our banner program. You know, the banners as you come in 4th Street towards the downtown area. It's time to renew those and to refresh those, and they're going to give us a little donation to help with that. And they're announcing some wireless service as well.
Yeah, are they going to have a repeater, or were they not?
They do not have one available. This is very sad. They do not have one available. They are all spoken for on the weekend of Jour de Fête. So AT&T did not have one, but I've mentioned it enough times to him that I think it's definitely etched in his memory that St. Genevieve would like one of these next year for Jour de Fête.
Mike, thanks for bringing that whole contact thing back up with AT&T. So
He is such a swell guy. Have you met him face to face?
Only on the phone,
He
yeah.
is such a swell guy. He is just excellent. And he really likes St. Genevieve, and I think that bringing them back into St. Genevieve is going to be a big help to us. Yeah.
Great.
Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah.
And I will actually have it's actually going out today, an invitation email to everyone
Okay.
on this group too.
I'll be sure to be there. I don't know about my partner.
Where do you like it? When is
Okay.
it?
Your
Friday,
younger
The
partner.
25th,
Yes.
noon.
5 a.m.
Is it the community center?
Community Center.
Okay.
Yeah, he told me he wanted to do that, but I didn't, that was in our first conversation about 3 months or 4 months ago. But I didn't want to say anything about that they were gonna, host this until he came forward and told you. But he told me he wanted to pick up the hosting of that,
Yep.
which is very, very nice of them. Whenever you say it's gonna be a free meal, you get more people than what you normally don't get. I mean, Dina's aware of that because she's in
Yeah.
the chamber and she knows how hard that is to get something like that. Okay.
So definitely call Dina to RSVP, if you can make it on the
Two.
25th.
2 from me.
Oh, there you go.
Gotcha.
I'll be there.
Gotcha.
Sandra mailed out the draft budget. If you have any comments on that, please pass them back to Sandra.
I'll be meeting with Martin next week about it.
Okay, good. I think you did a very reasonable job on putting that together.
Also, at the next Board of Aldermen meeting, I'm going to be asking for, in this year's budget, in the FY14 budget, an adjustment of $1,000 out of printing and into postage because, we've been mailing out so many brochures and packages and tour group packages. If we haven't already gone over, we're bumping right up on the budget. So we have some funds available in another area that I'd like to transfer.
And you have like 2 months left, August and September.
Right.
Right.
And I certainly don't want to just, stop responding to requests, so. That's good news, that we've had that much.
You have to get approval for line items or? But-
Well, it's an adjustment. Martin said you probably could do this without having to do it, but the reason I'm doing it is so that we can, it makes more sense why I need more postage next year.
Okay. Very good. Okey-doke. Thanks for coming. Channel 7 and 98 TV and web broadcasting are made possible through contributions and donations from viewers like you. Thank you for your support.